everyone. Thank you all for joining today's webinar on the top 5 things that users love about LexWorkplace. Before we get into our main event, a quick introduction. If you're unfamiliar, we are Uptime Legal Systems. We're a leading legal technology company. Under that broad umbrella, we provide IT services, cloud services, as well as digital marketing to law firms, among other things. And of course, we provide LexWorkplace, which is our native cloud document management system made just for law firms, which is what we'll be covering today. Big picture, we serve over 5,000 legal professionals across the US and Canada. Our headquarters is in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We also have offices in Austin, Texas, as well as Toronto, Ontario, Canada. So just a little bit about us and me. I am Dennis Dimka. I'm the founder and CEO of Uptime Legal. But maybe more importantly for this webinar, I'm also the product manager for LexWorkplace, which means one of my main jobs is broadly to steer and to evolve and to shape LexWorkplace. Who it's for, what it does, what it doesn't do. That's what I do. And I do much of that by way of getting feedback from as many law firms as I possibly can. So law firms like yours, both customers and users of our software, as well as non-customers, prospective clients, that sort of thing. So, quick housekeeping note. You should see a chat window or bar somewhere in your interface. Please feel free to ask questions at any and all times during the webinar here. I'll answer questions at the end, but please, as you think of them, please jot them down so that when we get to the end, hopefully we have a list of questions to go through. So on today's agenda, I will be going through a moderately comprehensive walkthrough of LexWorkplace, certainly not every single feature, but the broad strokes. And in doing so, and while going through that flow, I'll call out and I'll unpack what are the 5 features or capabilities of LexWorkplace that users really love the most. So these are not our favorite. These are not my favorite features, which I definitely have. These are features that our users consistently tell us that they love and that they can't live without. So let's get started. So here we are in LexWorkplace, and I'll start at the LexWorkplace home screen, which is what you're seeing here. The very first thing you'll notice is that, of course, LexWorkplace is a cloud application. It's running here in a web browser. Cloud application means, of course, no servers, no software to maintain and manually update, and generally no IT headaches. And one really unique thing about LexWorkplace off the cuff is that our software is 100% compatible with both Windows and Mac OS without the need for parallels or any other workarounds to run, Windows software on a Mac. All of this runs natively right on a Mac, and it runs really well. Talk navigation briefly here. You have this navigation on the left. We call this just the left nav or the main navigation. This is where you'll find the main modules of LexWorkplace: clients, matters, firm documents, and so on. This is available anywhere in the system. And you also have your top nav up here. We call this the global nav, where you've got search, the ability to create new things, seeing your recent items, favorites, so on and so forth. I'll cover those in a little bit more detail down the line. And for now, I'll keep this expanded. So that's really a good segue into the very first thing. So I'm going to cover, again, the 5 things that users love most in LexWorkplace in no particular order, or at least these are not the order of how great they are or how popular they are. Rather, they're just the order that I'm going to cover them as I go through the system. So number 1, top 5 things that users love about LexWorkplace. Number 1 is that LexWorkplace is organized the way a law firm is. So in many other systems I've seen, you've got like a cabinet or a this or a that, and you kind of have to retrofit that structure to meet the way your firm operates. And LexWorkplace is out of the box organized, again, the way a law firm is. And the basic structure of that is that everything is client and matter centric. You organize data into matters. A matter is a word we chose. You can think of matter to mean case or project. And then you've got clients that can have one or more matters. So let's start with clients. Let's go into our actual client list here. Now, this is a list of all the clients that we have in LexWorkplace. This is, of course, a dummy database or a sample database, but you can see a bunch of clients here. By default, you'll see active. You can also see all clients or just my clients. So let's find a client here. XYZ Corp. I'm just going to click on this client. And when you're in a client, you will essentially see some really basic information about the client up here. And then you'll see the matters for the client here. LexWorkplace is not practice management software, so you're not going to find contact information, phone number, that kind of thing. That sort of thing is best managed in practice management software, but you will see the matters. And again, a matter is a way to organize documents and other content. I could click any one of these matters to get into any one of these matters, but instead I'm going to show you guys a different way to get at some of the same thing. If instead of clients I click matters, I will see, as you would expect, all the matters in my LexWorkplace database. In this case, I'm showing open, all open matters, which is the default. You can also say, show me all matters, or just closed matters, or just my matters, just matters that are assigned to me. So in LexWorkplace, a matter is, I liken it to a virtual file cabinet with 3 drawers, or that can hold 3 kinds of information: documents, email, and notes. And you'll see how that works in just a moment. But first, let's make a new matter, or let's go through the motions of making a new matter. So when you make a new matter, the only thing you have to give it is a name. I could, if I were so inclined, click Create Matter and immediately start saving documents and email and other things to this matter right away with minimal friction. Or if I choose to, I can populate some of these other fields. Like I can give the matter a custom ID, useful if you have an internal naming convention. I can, of course, assign this matter to the client that it is for. I can optionally give the matter a type. This is a user-definable dropdown. Let's say this is a business law matter. Branch, assign staff, as well as other tags. We'll talk about tags in a little bit, but these are the basic things you can, the basic properties of a matter that you can apply to a matter when you create it. I'm going to back out for now, though, because I want to go into a matter that already has some stuff in it. So back on our matter list, let's look for a matter called XYZ. Here we go, XYZ entity formation. So we're going to go into this matter. So this is the matter screen. This is one of, you could say, the main screens that you will see and work in LexWorkplace. And I'll give you the layout. At the top, at the very top, you have the name of the matter, of course. And then below that, you have these basic matter properties. Again, type, the date it was opened, the custom matter ID if you gave it one. All of those same fields you just saw me have open when I was creating the matter, they show up here. I sort of liken this to a cover page of the matter, the basic information about the matter. That said, it's taking up some space here. So if I want to not show that, I can click this guy here and it gives me more real estate down here. So I just described a matter as conceptually being a virtual file cabinet, and it is. It can hold, again, 3 kinds of information: documents, email, and notes, each of which has its own tab here in the matter screen. So let's start with documents, right? The documents tab of a matter is really the bread and butter of LexWorkplace or of any document management system. So we'll start with the basic navigation. We designed LexWorkplace to look and feel a lot like just a basic file system, right? You know, be it Windows Explorer or the Mac equivalent, files, folders, really, really easy to use. So in this matter, I've already created a handful of top-level folders. I've already saved some documents here. So let's navigate around. So I'm going to navigate into this contracts folder. And within there, you can see I've got a few more folders and I've got some more documents. Let's go into this next folder, first round. And as you can see, there's some documents in here. So one thing you'll notice is that LexWorkplace makes it very easy to see where you are. Again, I'm still in this matter. And navigation-wise, I've got documents, or I'm on the documents tab, rather, in the contracts top-level folder, and then in this subfolder under that. And I can click on any one of these to jump back to that location. So very, hopefully, familiar navigation. So let's talk about how do I get a document into LexWorkplace? Again, we're talking basics right now. So one way I can do it is I can click upload, and I can upload a file or multiple files to the system. However, what I want to do, I want to drag and drop. In my opinion, anyway, one of the best or easiest ways to get a document into LexWorkplace is via drag and drop. So what you're seeing here is my local file system, right? This is just things on my local computer. And if I want to get this into LexWorkplace, I just drag it and drop it. And there it is, nice and easy. Those of you coming from a different DMS, you can profile the document after the fact, but it is not required. One of the themes I think you'll see here is that we want working with documents and everything in our system to be as frictionless as possible, right? We don't want to get in your way, certainly. So that is one way to get a document in. You can also drag and drop or upload entire folders. So if you see here, I've got this folder called folder to upload. Again, this is my local computer. I'm going to go into it and you'll notice there are 3 subfolders under that. And within this one, we've got more subfolders under that. So we've got some stuff here with some structure to it. Well, in LexWorkplace, you can drag and drop an entire folder, and it will upload that folder and retain the folder structure. So here it is. It uploaded pretty quick. I'm going to go into this folder, and you'll notice we've got contract drafts are there, and we've got our folder structure there. Some of it's still uploading, but you can see it retains, or more specifically, it recreates that folder structure for us. So several different ways to get documents into the system. So once a document is in LexWorkplace, to open it, you simply click on it. So I'll click on this one here, ABC document, and what it's going to do is it's going to open it on my local computer using the application associated with that file type. So Word, Excel, Adobe Acrobat, so on and so forth. And here's that document. Now, say I want to actually make a change to this document. I'm just going to edit Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and let's say I'm done. I want to be done with this document for now. I simply save it and close out, just like I would in any other condition or circumstance. And why that's important is, unlike other web-based or cloud-based file systems, with LexWorkplace, you don't have to manually re-upload after you've downloaded the document. So in many other systems, you download a document, it's in your local downloads folder perhaps, you make a change and you're really just editing that local copy. That is not the case with LexWorkplace. LexWorkplace automatically saves back your changes in real time to the system. So that's getting an existing document up into LexWorkplace and opening an existing document. How does one, say, create a new document from scratch in LexWorkplace? One way you can do it is you can open up Microsoft Word, and then via our Word add-in, you can save and navigate to the matter that you want to save it to. That's certainly one way. Another way, and my preferred way maybe, is with this new dropdown. So all throughout LexWorkplace, again, you'll see this blue bar. We call it the global navigation. And under the new menu, you can create all kinds of new things, right? You can create new clients and matters from anywhere in the system. And if you're in a location that can take documents, which is a matter, you can also create these documents on the fly, right? So I want to make a new Word document. In this case, we'll call this brand new Word doc. Create and open. And that's exactly what it's going to do. It's going to create that document where I am, and it's going to fire it open in one click. So here's my brand new document. This is brand new. And again, I'm done for now. I save, I close out, and that change has been updated in LexWorkplace. So the next thing I'll talk about is just how to move or copy or move stuff around, right? So suppose I want to move some of these things into one of these other folders. So let's take this guy and this guy and this guy. And what you'll see is you can select them here, and then under actions, you'll have cut, copy, and paste. And those work exactly like you think they would, right? Cut to move, copy to copy. So in this case, I want to just copy. And let's make a new folder. Copied documents. Here's my new folder, nothing in it yet, but I have copied those 3 documents. So now I can, under actions, paste. And in one of my personal favorite features, the keyboard commands, Control X, Control C, Control V, or the analog in Mac OS works as well. I'm doing it this way so you can see it, but you can Control X, Control C, and Control V. Works really well. So anyway, here I go. I'm pasting the documents I copied earlier, and now I have a copy of these documents here. So again, hopefully really, really familiar ways of navigating and interacting with the file system. A couple other things I'll show kind of in the realm of basic file system stuff. You'll notice as I mouse over documents here and folders, there's this star icon. Clicking the star adds it to your favorites, right? So now this document is in my list of favorites. And you'll notice you can also add folders to favorites. So I could mark any one of these as a favorite. As you can see, these 2 I already have. That's why they're showing up in that list. And this is really useful, especially if you have a document or a folder that's really buried, right? Maybe it's in a matter, in a subfolder, in another subfolder, and you want it to be at your fingertips for a while, right? While you work on it, while you make changes to a particular contract, let's say, you can do that by marking it as a favorite and having it sort of pinned here at all times. The last thing I'll mention for kind of this basic file system stuff is a note on the word documents. So we use the word documents here. This is where you store quote unquote documents. However, that's a bit of a misnomer. In reality, you can store virtually any kind of computer file on this tab. So it doesn't have to be literally a document. It could also be an audio file or an image or an entire video, say surveillance or something like that. Virtually any kind of file you can save or any kind of computer file you can save here in LexWorkplace. We just call it the Documents tab to keep it simple. Okay. So those are the basics, right? Those are things that more or less any basic file system can and will do. So let's get into some of the more advanced features. So these are the features and capabilities that really makes a DMS a DMS. So I'll start with document properties. When I mouse over any document, I'll have this 3-dot menu, as we call it. This is kind of the main menu for things you can do with documents. And we're not going to cover everything here, but we'll cover the important ones or the main ones, starting with properties. So when I click properties, I go to the properties screen of this document. This is the properties screen. Every document has this screen, and it's broken into 2 parts, 2 hemispheres. Metadata on the left and version history on the right, visible all in one place. So I'll start with metadata. Of course, you've got the document's name. That's what it shows up as. That's simple. And you also have these 3 fields here: document type, document status, and document tags. And I'll touch on those briefly. So document type is exactly that. It is a drop-down that is configurable by you. So your firm is meant to, as part of the setup process, define the types of documents that are relevant or meaningful in your practice, right? So these are all examples that we've pre-populated. So let's say this particular document is a contract. You also have document status. This is another dropdown that is also user or firm configurable, meaning you're really meant to define the statuses that exist or are relevant or meaningful in your firm. So that could be as simple as draft and final, right? Super, super simple. Or if your law firm has a specific workflow, maybe 5 different steps that key documents need to go through, you could map those out here and then indicate which step that document is on. So it's really meant, this is a tool for you to use in a way that it best serves your firm. And finally, you have tags. Tags are very similar, only they are multiple select or multiple add. You can create and add as many tags on a single document as you like. In this case, I've created and applied these 3 tags to this document: filed with court, do not destroy, confidential. A tag is just an additional way to add context to a document or information about that document. So think of it almost like a Post-it note that you're putting on that document, right? This is confidential, or this has already been filed with the court. You can make, again, tags that are useful to your firm. We've seen clients do all kinds of creative things with tags and then apply them here. Finally, metadata, internal notes. As this note implies, when you enter a note here, it is an internal note. Only members of your firm can see this. So you can send or share this document with outside parties without fear of anyone else seeing this. This is strictly visible only to your firm, and within that, only members of your firm that have access to this matter. So no need for metadata scrubbers or anything like that. That's sort of an old, archaic thing. No longer, at least not with a modern DMS like LexWorkplace. So why would a law firm bother populating a type or a status or tags, right? I'll point out that that is optional, as I mentioned earlier. You don't have to enter these fields for each document, but you certainly can. Why would you? Well, I think there's really 3 main reasons a law firm might bother, or 3 kind of key points of utility in that. So to demonstrate that utility, I'll go back out to our list of documents here. The first reason you might bother, the first utility in adding that kind of context to documents, is just the ability to see those things at a glance, right? So here I am in this matter. I'm at the top level of this matter, and I can see at a glance some documents that have been filed with the court. I can see at a glance that this is a contract and that it is in a status of final. So at a glance, right? Again, almost like having Post-it notes on your documents. Reason number 2 that you might bother with this metadata is the ability to filter and sort. So all throughout LexWorkplace, wherever you see these column headings in the word filter, that's a column that you can sort by or filter by in real time. Here's how it works. There's not that many documents here. There's 17 total items, but suppose for a moment there were dozens or maybe hundreds of documents that were just dumped in here for whatever reason, or that have accumulated over time. I might say, wow, that's a lot to look at. For just a moment, just show me documents that have been filed with court. So I start typing that in the filter here, and as you can see in real time, it's filtering and showing me just those documents, in this case with the word filed in the tags. And I can do that with any of these columns, right? So similarly, I might say, okay, this is a lot. Just show me documents that are contracts or where the type is set to contract. So again, filtering on the fly. The third and final utility or reason you would do that is search, which I'll talk about a little bit later when I talk about search. Okay, let's go back into our properties screen. 3-dot menu, go to properties. Again, metadata on the left. And then, by the way, also people sometimes call this profiling. You profile, or when you profile a doc, you are adding these attributes to it. And on the left, we have on the right, we have our version history here. So that brings me to, of the top 5 things that users love about LexWorkplace, number 2 in no particular order, is automatic versioning. The way LexWorkplace does it is every single time a document is edited, the system automatically makes a new version and retains the old version history so that you can view it or download it later if you need to. And the way it works is the very first time you save a document to LexWorkplace, that simply becomes V1. Every subsequent edit after that becomes V2, V3, so on and so forth, and you'll always see the newest at the top. A couple of things that people within versioning that people really, really like. Number one, you can optionally enter a version comment to the latest version. So let's just say I just made this edit today, right? Say this is a contract I'm working on behalf of my client, and I made some updates. I might want to just add a quick comment, very briefly summarizing what change I made, right? So I'll hit add version comment, and let's just say I modified paragraph 3.2, added paragraph 4.1. Right? Just a quick little note. And then now that shows up here. And then in addition to having all these versions, I also have something of an audit trail where I can see who did what when, right? On this date, Dennis made this change. Adding those version comments are optional on each version. And as a rule of thumb, I usually advise our clients, add a version comment on a meaningful milestone or change in the document, right? Probably not every single edit of a document is really, really meaningful, but some of them are, right? And those are the ones that are best given a comment. You can also upload a new version from external. So a great real world example is, suppose I've been working on this contract, I'm drafting it for my client, or maybe I'm drafting it and the opposing counsel is going to redline it, right? Make some suggested changes. I might send them a copy of this, and then later on they send back their proposed changes, their redline. I can upload that as a new version here and then call it out here as the version from opposing counsel. Or I can then go back and promptly reject all of their proposed changes. So these are some of the more advanced document management capabilities of LexWorkplace. There are more. I'll cover one or two more. Another one that people really like is the ability to convert a Word document to a PDF right in the system. So I can, of course, open up, say, this document, and let's do ABC document. I could open this up and I could hit file and I could hit save as and drop down to PDF and then go through all those steps and motions. Or I can, in really one click, convert this to a PDF. So three-dot menu, convert to PDF. This is Word documents only. And usually within a few seconds to a minute or so, it will create a brand new document that is a PDF version of that. And we'll see that appear here. There we go. Here's the original. And here's the new PDF that we just created from this document. So small thing, but people really like it. The last thing I'll mention is notes. And this is a relatively new addition to LexWorkplace. Recall that I can enter internal notes here. And if a document has anything here at all, any notes whatsoever, it will show with this little sticky icon or this note icon here. So just a visual call out that there are some internal notes for this document. And finally, if I hover my mouse over it, as you can see, it's small, but in that tooltip, it will actually show me the contents of that note while I hover my mouse over it. So this is a relatively new thing we just added. It's pretty cool. So that's documents. Those are some of the key things you can do to store and manage documents for one single matter. But of course, there's also email. Email, like documents and like notes, is not only on its own tab, it gets its own file system, or said another way, it gets its own set of folders. Notice that these folders here are different from the folders over here. When you create a matter, these are all blank by default, but each tab gets its own space for stuff because you might organize email different from how you organize documents. So that brings me to top 5 things that users love about LexWorkplace. Number 3 is email management, specifically within that, deduplication. So Let's talk about how that works. So I'm going to open up my Outlook. Here we go. This is my standard Outlook, and it is just regular Outlook. I've got an email here. It's just a sample email. Say this was from a client and say this relates to particular matter, maybe that same matter, XYZ matter. I can save this matter to LexWorkplace by simply by highlighting the email, which I've done, and clicking Add to LexWorkplace. And what that'll do is it opens up the Outlook add-in for LexWorkplace and opens it up in the sidebar, as you can see here. And I was just in another matter, but what you'll see by default is your list of matters. Here they all are again. Each matter, the ID, and the client that matters for. Now, here's the matter I want to go into, but I could also do a quick search or filter. Let's say XYZ, just show me every matter with that in the title. And there we are, XYZ entity formation. So I'm going to go into this matter, and I'm essentially browsing this matter now from within my Outlook. Here are those folders that we just saw that are already in the email tab of this matter, and some emails that are already in this matter. That's just a nice way to make sure that you're in the right place. So I could browse into any of these folders. In fact, let's go into our new folder here, and I'll hit save here. And what it's going to do is a couple of things. Number one, it's going to add that email to LexWorkplace. Obviously, we'll see that in a moment. It's going to add this flag here in my Outlook, added to LexWorkplace. In Outlook, that's what's called a category. Think of it as just a stamp or a visual cue that this has been successfully saved to the matter. So I could delete it now from my Outlook if I were so inclined. And the third and important thing it does is it deduplicates the email. Now, when a lot of you guys can probably relate, when a client emails you, they very well could CC other members of your firm, other attorneys, other support staff. And suppose everybody goes to save that email to LexWorkplace, right? Because they're trying to be diligent. LexWorkplace will happily accept the first email. And then the second time and third time and any subsequent time that other users try to save that email to LexWorkplace, it will pop up and prompt and say, no need, this email's already here. So deduplication. I get asked this a lot, so I'll preemptively answer it. A lot of people ask, Dennis, how does it know if it's a duplicate email? Does it just look at the subject? And the answer is no, definitely not, because you're going to have many, many emails with the same subject, right? It's going to be RE colon something, 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 and then 20 emails with that same subject. So that wouldn't be a very effective way to do it. Instead, what LexWorkplace does is it performs what's called a checksum, which really just means it looks at the email at a bits and bytes level and can from there determine, is this the exact same email as this other one? And if it is, it will let the user know. People really love that. It was one of the first things we built in the system, and it was even more popular than I think we expected it to be. Other interesting things you can do with email. So here we are. Let's go into our new folder, and this is where this is that email I just saved. Folders work much the same way in email as they do with documents. I can also cut, copy, and paste to move things around. So a lot of that, or really all of that functionality is exactly the same. Sometimes firms will kind of pre-create folders that they think make sense to save emails to. Other times we've seen clients just dump everything here and then later go and organize them into folders. Whatever works for your firm's flow is just fine. Now, when you save an email to LexWorkplace, it saves the entire original email. So I can click on it to open it. And what it's going to do is it's going to open it in my Outlook, in the native application for that. So here we go. This is that email again. And why that's useful is that this is not a, text copy paste of the email. This is the actual email, and it's a native format. And because it opens up in Outlook, this does not exist in my Outlook inbox, but it's using Outlook to open it. So I can now reply right from here or forward this email to somebody else right from here. And of course, we have our familiar column headings here, right? Our boxes that we can filter by, and useful fields like subject, from, to, and so on. So again, there's only 4 emails here. It's pretty easy to find what I'm looking for. But suppose again, there were dozens or hundreds of emails saved to this matter. I can say, okay, just for a minute, just show me emails from Dennis. And again, here it is filtering on the fly. Or just show me emails that were sent to Paula on the fly. And when it does that just for the items on screen, not subfolders. So just a note. I think one other thing I'll show relating to emails is the notion of a short note. This is a pretty lean matter in terms of emails, but again, real world, you're likely to have 10, 20 emails with the same subject, making it not always easy to know which is the one that has the thing or has this blurb in it or has this attachment or, that's just important in general, right, of these 20 emails. So one tool we give you is the ability to create what's called a short note. So say I want to say something about this email. I can click the 3-dot menu and I can hit edit email short note. So I can say, for instance, this is the main one or whatever. This is kind of like a version comment in that it is a single line of text. So it's meant to be a concise note. So here I'm going to add that. And now this shows up here, just a simple text field next to this email. Again, really small thing, but really, really useful to call out one email out of a crowd of many emails. This was not even our idea. I think an end user gave us this idea and we thought it was great. We implemented it, and now law firms, most law firms that use LexWorkplace really, really love that feature. And, big picture, zooming out a little bit, the other big benefit of managing your email here, apart from, I should mention, when you save an email to LexWorkplace, it becomes searchable. And I think maybe more importantly, even, it becomes centralized. Because what do law firms do? How do they organize their email without a tool like this? Well, they're just kind of left with everybody organizes email their own way in their own Outlook, which is totally unhelpful to the rest of the firm, right? It's very decentralized. By having your email saved in LexWorkplace, you now have all email, which could have been saved by any or multiple users within your firm, all in one place and all right next to the documents and other data for this matter. Okay, so we've covered the documents tab, the email tab. I'm going to briefly touch on notes. I'm not going to get into it in the interest of time, but another thing we observed law firms do as we were in the early stages of developing this tool is take or create notes in some other tool or in a Word doc that they would stick in with the matter. And we thought, why don't we give our users a better note-taking system, again, in a way where notes can be created and saved in the matter right next to everything else. So that's what this does. In LexWorkplace, a matter note is just a free-form plain text note that you can create and save in the matter. And you can also organize into folders and subfolders, just like documents in email. So you have that same sort of functionality. You can cut, copy, paste, move notes around, and use cases. We've seen some really interesting use cases for this, right? Like I've seen at least a couple of clients use the notes to organize meeting notes or to capture intake notes. We've even seen some firms create essentially a call log out of the notes, because every note is date and time stamped when it was created and who it was created by, and same again for modified date and who by. So that creates just kind of a nice call log or paper trail that one firm in particular does. I could certainly spend more time on notes, but I'll leave it at that for now. And then sharing. Again, I'm just going to touch on this briefly. I could easily spend a lot of time on sharing alone. You can, with LexWorkplace, securely share one or more documents with outside parties. That could be your client, that could be another attorney. And when you do that, it gets logged here. So I have a full history of, just within this one matter, all the different times one or more documents was shared, what time, by who, how many documents. I can see what documents those are. So you kind of get that history here on the sharing tab. Okay, next I'm going to talk about search. And in the list of the top 5 things that users love about LexWorkplace, number 4, full text search. So here's how it works. You just saw me click search here, which brings me to the main search screen. And we really designed this to be a very simple, very Google-like search experience. So it's inclusive by default or broad by default. So here's what I mean. I'm going to do a search for simply the word test, and I'm going to give it no other parameters. I know that's a pretty ubiquitous word. I just know a lot of stuff's going to show up. So here I go, searching for the word test across all things in LexWorkplace. So you can have literally millions of documents, hundreds, thousands of matters, millions of emails, and your search results will be this fast because the search indexing in LexWorkplace is very, very powerful. So I just did a search for the word test, and it's telling me it found, over 1,000 documents, this many emails, and this many matter notes with the word test in it. And it also summarizes what we call top matters, meaning the top 5 matters and how many hits or instances of that search term found in each one. Now, that's pretty broad. This is not really helpful. That's a lot of stuff. So how can we narrow this down? All of these menu drop downs here are ways you can narrow down your search and make your search more precise. So starting with the include drop down, it's set to everything, but I can say, just show me emails for a minute. Not documents, not notes, just emails. So I'm rerunning that same search, and here's those 38 emails. But I could also say just documents, file name and content, which is the default, or just the file name. Just search for the word test only in the name of the document or any combination therein. I can also limit my search to only certain matters. So let's say I think what I'm looking for is either in the matter called XYZ entity formation or in the matter called ABC foods versus corons. For instance, I could keep adding more, but for now I'll limit it to these 2. I rerun my same search. Again, now it's searching for the word test just in these 2 matters. Here are my results. And you may recall that when I was describing metadata, fields like document type and status and tags, I mentioned that the 3rd reason you would bother profiling a document in the first place is for search. Here's where that becomes useful and very powerful. I can say, or I can add to my criteria, only show me documents that are an agreement or a complaint or a contract. It's got to be one of those 3. I don't actually know if this is going to return anything. Let's find out. Oh, it did. Okay. So let's pull this one off, rerun it, and watch our results get more and more narrow here. I can do the same for document status or document tags, right? I might say, just show me documents with the tag filed with court. In fact, one last thing I think I'll demonstrate here. I'm going to actually remove every other criteria, including even the search text here. I'm going to leave this blank. So what this does is it says, show me any documents anywhere in the system, no matter what matter, no matter what text is in it, with this tag. And as you can see, there's 56 documents have that tag applied. I could do the same with document type status. So you might say, I want to see every complaint we've ever written, ever. You could do that here very, very quickly. And then as you can see, you can further narrow your search by including who the document was modified by, or a date range it was modified. I only want to see documents that were modified between this date and this date, or even just show me documents that are locked or in use by some user, some specific user. So with search, you can be as broad and cast a wide net as you like, or you can be as precise, right? Really, really like searching with a scalpel almost. So that's the basics of the search screen or the search page. Of course, you'll also notice this search up here. We go back to our home page, and you have this in the global nav search LexWorkplace. So you can also kick off a search from anywhere in LexWorkplace by using this. So let me click here, and I'm just going to type the word test again. I type a word, I hit enter, and it's going to run that search for me and bring me to the search page to do it. So just a really easy way we put search at your fingertips at all times. But there's one other thing you can do with this global search up here. Suppose I want to search for the text XYZ. I could do that. That's this first option. Just run a search for XYZ. But LexWorkplace has also noticed that I have two matters with the phrase XYZ in it, right? There's a matter called this. There's another matter called this. This is the matter we've been playing with. It sees that, and I can jump right to that matter. Similarly, there happens to also be two clients with the words XYZ in it, or the letters XYZ. I can jump right to that client. Let's do that. And then here I am in this client, seeing their matters. Or I can say XYZ again. I know there's this matter. Let's go, I can click here, jump right to that matter. So some of our customers actually use that search bar as sort of their main launch pad to like find what they're looking for and get right into it. The last thing I'll mention about search, you can also use what we call advanced search operators. So if you're familiar, if you've used search in any other kind of tool, you can use operators like and, or, and not to add even more precision to your search. The very last thing I'll cover is also the fifth of the top 5 things users love and can't live without with LexWorkplace. And number 5 is integrated OCR. Okay, so I'm going to start with the basics. What is OCR? This is possibly review for some of you, but I want to cover it really quick. OCR is a general technology. It stands for optical character recognition, and it basically is what converts an electronics or scanned document into a text-enabled document. Let me show you what I mean. So if I go here, here's a document. This is a sample contract that has not been OCR'd. This is on my local computer. It's not in LexWorkplace yet. And here it is. So this is, incidentally, this is an actual contract for my son and his school, so he can go bouldering. It's just super fun. But anyway, this is a contract that I literally printed, signed, and scanned. So because I scanned it, notice I cannot select any of this text, right? It's just this, right? It's almost as if this isn't a document, rather it's a photograph of a document. Well, that's in fact what it is. Anytime by default, when you scan a document, you're looking at essentially a photograph of this document. Why is that a problem? Well, there's no real text in here. There's just an image of text, which means not only can I not copy, select, paste the text. More importantly, this text will never get into search because, again, it's not text, it's a photograph of text. So OCR is technology that will convert that into actual text in the document. So let's go back into our favorite matter here. This would work with any matter, but I'm just comfortable and familiar with this matter. And let's make a new folder called OCR sample. So again, remember when I had that document open, this PDF here, it was not OCR'd. So let's go in OCR sample. Let's take this document and drag it and drop it to LexWorkplace. Behind the scenes, LexWorkplace will automatically detect if a PDF is not OCR'd. So let me sidebar myself for just a moment. OCR, we didn't invent OCR. It's a technology that's been around a long time. And there are multiple ways you can kind of employ OCR in your firm. You can OCR a PDF in a few different ways. So for instance, right in Adobe Acrobat, there's a button or a command to say, OCR this document. I don't think it's called that, but it's something to that effect. You could certainly do that, but of course you'd have to do it every document every time and hope no user in your firm ever forgets to do that. So not very practical. Another option is a lot of scanners. When you actually scan a document, it will OCR literally on the fly before it, gets the document to you in whatever format it does. That's quite useful, but only on documents that you or your firm actually scanned. It does not help at all with documents that somebody outside of your firm, say a client or another attorney, scans themselves and sends to you. So the best way to really administer OCR is to do it in your document management system. That way, no matter how this document came to be, no matter how it got to you, it will be checked and OCR'd if it isn't already. So when you save a PDF like this to LexWorkplace, if LexWorkplace sees that it's not OCR'd, it will OCR, and it will OCR the PDF, and that takes anywhere from a couple of seconds to about a minute, just depending on the size of the document, and it's all behind the scenes. Now, what you will see, if I go into the properties of this document, I will see it in the version history, right? Here's V1 that I just uploaded at 11:14, and then here's another one moments later. This is the version where LexWorkplace OCR'd it. So I'll actually open this up to finalize this demonstration to show you what an OCR'd document looks like. Same exact document, there's been no change. However, this is now text. I can select it as you see, I can copy and paste it. And most importantly, this will show up in search. This text has now been added to the search index, whereas before it would never have. So OCR is a feature separate and apart from search, but it really is closely related to search and very, very important. If OCR isn't part of your file system, your search is missing, a big chunk of your data. And I guess let's do a quick test. I'm going to do a search for the word bouldering, which I'm pretty sure will show up nowhere else. There we go. Sample contract. I should rename it to has been OCR'd, but there it is. It found that word in my document. So there you have it. Those are the top 5 things that users love most about LexWorkplace. With what little bit of time we have left, I will open it up to Q&A. I see you guys have got some good questions queued up here. Oh, some really good ones. Yeah, but it's still not too late. After everything we just covered, please feel free to ask, what more you want to learn about LexWorkplace, or if you have a more specific question about how it could fit into your firm, or even a question about, coming from another maybe similar system. So we'll get into questions right now.